India's economy has contracted by 23.9% in its fiscal first quarter, the 3 months ended in June. And that's its largest quarterly slump on record and worse than analysts' prediction in a Reuters poll. It comes as the country reels from coronavirus lockdowns and low consumer demand. Rebecca Bundan joins us now for an update on this. So, Rebecca, the latest GDP figures, are they driving India into its deepest recession on record?
Certainly, these figures were worse than many expected. Analysts were forecasting that the GDP contraction would be somewhere between 15% and 25%. It's come towards the lower end of that scale at 23.9% for the April to June quarter. Now, that's really the quarter when we saw the nationwide lockdown in its full effect. And people were watching these figures very, very closely to see what the effect of that very strict nationwide lockdown in India would be. And we've seen what a huge impact it has had with these figures that have come through with such a large decline in the country's GDP for that quarter on the year, which does point towards a contraction for the largest contraction since records began in 1996 in terms of quarterly data, which is, of course, very worrying as it comes at a time when India is also continuing to see a record rise in the number of coronavirus cases, more than 78,000 cases over the past couple of days, which are the highest in terms of record daily spikes anywhere in the world. So that's really a major concern for the country. That nationwide lockdown, of course, did have a huge impact. We know that millions of people were left without work as businesses closed. Since then, a lot of businesses have reopened, but there have also been statewide lockdowns that have come into effect since then, as we're seeing rising numbers. And a lot of businesses have still been struggling to get back on their feet because of the impact of the pandemic and restrictions that are still in place, although the government has been steadily easing restrictions at a central government level, allowing states to go ahead with opening up more shops, restaurants and so on in parts of the country, shopping malls. But it's still been very, very difficult for business owners to get things up and running. And we know that consumer demand is still very weak here in India at this point in time as those infections continue to surge in the country.
Rebecca, in terms of sectors, though, are there any bright spots? Are there any sectors in which there are signs of an uptick, perhaps, amid these record COVID-19 cases each day?
Analysts are saying that one of the sectors that is a bit of a bright spot is the agriculture sector. That's been faring relatively well throughout the pandemic and the lockdowns, continuing to see good production after good monsoon rainfall over the past couple of years, and this year as well. Production is on the rise, apparently, according to reports. And there have also been a lot of schemes to help farmers as well at a government level, including minimum support prices, infrastructure funds and so on, which is said to be helping that sector. However, having said that, across the board, there's been a huge impact in terms of consumer demand, investment, which is really weighing on the economy at this point in time. And economists are not expecting any kind of quick rebound in the economy at all as we continue to see the numbers of coronavirus cases surge. Consumer confidence is still very low, although a lot of businesses have reopened, a lot of shops have reopened. They're reporting that they're not doing very well in terms of sales at all, as people are not stepping out, people are not making big purchases, people are just not confident at the moment to spend money, to travel and so on. So that's really hitting the economy very hard, although that April to June quarter is expected to have been far worse than the following quarter, which will be the quarter to September. There's still expected to be a contraction in that second quarter of the financial year as well. And overall, analysts are forecasting a contraction of about 5% for India's economy as a whole for the entire financial year, which runs from April to March. And also, we know that government finances are also not in great shape as well. There have been figures that have come out today that show that India's fiscal deficit target actually hit its full year target in the first 4 months of the financial year to July. So again, that's another worry at this point in time.
Okay, well, thanks very much for that update. Rebecca Bundan speaking to us live from Mumbai.